my job is to represent the 750 plus hockey players in the National Hockey League, and that's what I'm going to do. And I think as a leader of this organization, you want to be understanding you're a union leader, you're one of them. Granted, we're connected. We might not be connected because I didn't play hockey, but we're connected as union members, and we're connected about creating better opportunities, better benefits, you know, whatever the issue might be on behalf of the players.
I mentioned to some friends I was going to be sitting down with you today, and they said that the first question that you should ask them is, why would somebody in such an influential position in the U.S. government want to leave to become executive director of the NHL Players Association?
That's a great question. It was really hard leaving President Biden's administration. He gave me an incredible opportunity to serve as his labor secretary I did it for 2 years, and it was great. And it's just an opportunity that I never thought would happen. And, you know, when I got reached out to by a recruitment group, asked me if we were interested, I said, yeah, I would. It's kind of returning back to my roots. Granted, it's representing hockey players, but it's a union representing hockey players. I started my career as a union laborer, working as a president of that local union. I ran the building trades. Got involved in politics, held several positions there, and now I have a chance to kind of go back to how it all began in unionization.
So there's a couple of things I think hockey fans are curious about. Number one is the cap. And do you see it as your job or your responsibility to ever lead to a day where there's no cap system in the NHL?
You know, the CBA is a couple years away, so I think that we'll be having conversations around everything that you have during a normal negotiation. I know that, you know, there's a very complicated different stories how we got to this point with the cap. I'm not looking at that. I mean, obviously I learned that, but it's about what do the players want moving forward. That's really what my focus will be.
You did mention something in your introductory media conference that we were all curious about, and that was that the players are not interested in moving the escrow number that's been guaranteed to them for the next 3 years. I've had some people around the sport tell me that there is flexibility there, that if everybody wanted to raise the cap by more than $1 million, they think there are ways to do it where the escrow caps wouldn't need to be touched. I know you're new, but has that been presented to you at all?
You know, we definitely, when the time is right, we'll have those conversations. You know, my first meeting with Gary Bettman, you know, he brought up the opportunity for raising the cap. You know, we'd have a conversation. Again, it was a very quick meeting. I can't really take anything from it other than it was really an introductory meeting. But certainly we'd be open to having any conversations about that.
Best on best hockey. Do you think we'll have a World Cup in 2025 and an Olympics in 2026?
Well, certainly something that the players are excited about. We've heard certain players talk about it already.
I thought it was really cool. It's what we've been asking for in hockey for a long time, right? You know, it's best on best. And, you know, look, everyone's talking about baseball, and, you know, did you see, you know, Ohtani versus Trout? And, you know, that's what hockey's been missing for, you know, almost a decade now.
You know, we have a calendar ahead, so it's not just every time that there's a conversation we have to rethink what the tournament looks like. I think there's an opportunity for us right now to have those conversations looking forward.
Is it essential for Russia to be there?
It's too early to talk about that right now. I think that, you know, this is, I don't want to say it's hypothetical. There's been conversations going on about the World Cup of Hockey tournament and what that will look like. Let's finalize what the tournament, when the tournament can be, how we can move that tournament forward, and then we can have conversations at that particular moment about what the circumstance in the world are with countries and challenges that might be in front of us.
You talked at length about the pride jerseys in your introductory media conference. Do you think that there should be any kind of rule where if you don't wear the jersey, you can't play the game?
No, I don't think that should be the case at all.
Okay.
No, I mean, it's people's rights.
Do you worry at all about that this being the tip of the iceberg of it coming even more into the NHL?
It's hard to say. I mean, I just think it's in society as a whole. I mean, I just spent the last, 10 years being the mayor, U.S. Secretary of Labor. So regardless of what I said, there's always another side to the story. And
yes.
It's always come up. And I think that, as far as the game of hockey, I think it's important that we are an inclusive game of hockey, letting people know they're welcome to be part of the game. We want them to be part of this game and moving forward.
Before you even officially were announced, there were the conversations about political donations in the past. The Jacobs family, yeah. I saw the Fenway Group, with your mayoral ceremony. You know the history of this sport now, I bet. I think you
learned a little bit, yeah.
You probably understand why people are so sensitive about that.
Yeah.
What do you say to the people who are bothered by that?
They don't have to be worried about it. I mean, my career, I'm not going to be swayed by a political donation. In my entire career, I've raised millions and millions and millions of dollars, and the money that was raised by those two organizations or those individuals in those organizations was such a it's such a small not even a percent of what I raised over my time, and no one can ever accuse me of using political donations as a way to give back favors. My job today is to represent the National Hockey League's Players Association, the players in the National Hockey League, and I'm not going to be swayed by a political contribution that happened 7 years ago.
Did any of the players ever ask you about that after it started to come up?
No, it never really came up, but I addressed it. I brought it right up in the beginning. I addressed it when I met with the executive board. I brought it. That was one of the first things I brought up. I said, listen, I'm going to put this on the table. This is the deal, just so you know what's going on. You know, I have relationships, and I actually look at some of the relationships I have, whether it's with Bruins or Pittsburgh or other owners. You know, those are good things to have relationships. It doesn't mean that you're not going to give, because you have a relationship with an NHL owner. That doesn't mean that I'm going to jeopardize my job representing the hockey players.
There's a big story in Canada about the Hockey Canada investigations.
Yep.
What have you been briefed about on this right now?
I've been briefed on it, and you know it's an ongoing investigation, so that's all I can really say about it right now. I can't really get into the details of that.
Do you have any reason to believe that there's going to be anything actionable on this in the near future?
I have no idea. Again, it's investigation moving on, so I only know what you've read and what I've read.
Arizona. That is a point of contention between some players and agents. The fact that the team is going to be some $30 million cash under the cap next year. Is that a situation that you've been asked to address or be more aggressive about?
Not necessarily address or do anything about right now. There's a few concerns there, I think. It's the salary cap, but also the ballot initiative. Mm-hmm. They're playing in a college arena right now. These National Hockey League players should be playing in a good, strong arena. I know there's some lawsuits been brought in by different parts of Arizona as well. So we got to keep an eye on that, but it's something that needs to be addressed pretty quickly, particularly in the case if this ballot initiative goes down.
Have you talked to like a Sidney Crosby or a Connor McDavid or anyone like that?
I spoke to Connor. I haven't had a chance yet to talk to Sidney. I mean, the difficult time about being brought in at this moment in time is that it's a playoff run. So, these players, they're focused on making the playoffs. They're focused on their teams. So it's been kind of complicated to get time. You got to give the players their place, their space.
What did you and McDavid talk about?
Well, he was indirectly, asking me questions about my background during the whole process of being selected as this, and asking me different questions. I told him who I was, what I was all about, and we didn't really get into any deep hockey related conversation.
Do you see this as a long-term thing for you, or are you looking at, like, sometime do you see yourself again in politics, whether as a senator or something even greater than that?
I don't know. I haven't really thought about that. The way I live my life a day at a time, and anytime anyone's asked me that question, I'm focusing on the job that's in front of me, and I have a few years here to do the best I can for the players of the NHL. I want the NHLPA to be the strongest union in North America.
Sounds to me like you signed for a certain term.
A few years.
Are we talking more? Is the over under 5?
The under's 5.
The under's 5. Thank you very much, Marty.
Thank
really
you.
Appreciate it.
All right.